What if the thing you're most addicted to isn't really what you're craving at all? What if that drink, that drug, that endless scrolling on your phone is just a shadow of what your soul is truly hungry for? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something that might change how you see addiction forever. We're exploring the mind-blowing ideas of Carl Jung, one of history's greatest psychologists, who uncovered a shocking truth about addiction that still rocks the world of psychology today. Whether you've struggled with addiction yourself, know someone who has, or are just curious about why humans get stuck in destructive patterns, Jung's insights offer a completely different way of understanding what's really going on in the mind of an addict. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Jung believed that the path to healing might be hidden in the very thing that's causing so much pain. So stick around. What you learn might just change your life or help someone you care about. Before we dive into Jung's ideas about addiction, let's get to know the man himself. Carl Jung wasn't just any psychologist. He was a pioneer who dared to explore the depths of the human mind that others were afraid to touch. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung started as a close friend and follower of Sigmund Freud, the famous founder of psychoanalysis. But Jung eventually broke away from Freud because he believed there was more to our minds than just repressed sexual desires and childhood trauma. While Freud focused mainly on what's wrong with people, Jung was interested in how people could become whole. He developed what he called analytical psychology, which looked at both the light and dark sides of our personalities. What made Jung special was his belief that our minds are much deeper and more mysterious than we realize. He thought we all share a collective unconscious, a hidden part of our minds filled with powerful symbols and patterns he called archetypes that influence how we behave without us even knowing it. Jung didn't just sit in an office writing theories. He worked with real people struggling with real problems, including alcoholism and other addictions. His unique approach to understanding these struggles is what we're exploring today. Now here's where things get really interesting. Jung believed we all have a shadow, the part of ourselves we don't want to see or admit exists. Think of it like this. If you're standing in the sun, your shadow follows you everywhere, but you can choose to ignore it. That doesn't make it disappear, though. Your shadow contains all the parts of yourself that you've pushed away because they seem ugly, selfish, angry, or shameful. The parts you'd never want to post on social media or show to others. What does this have to do with addiction? Everything. Jung believed that addiction often starts when we try too hard to run from our shadow. When we can't face the difficult parts of ourselves, we look for escape routes. That's where substances or addictive behaviors come in. They temporarily numb the pain of denying who we really are. Here's an example that might hit close to home. Imagine someone who always tries to be perfect and put together on the outside. They're the person who seems to have it all together, who everyone relies on. But inside they're exhausted and sometimes even resentful of always having to be the responsible one. They'd never admit those feelings because it doesn't fit their good person image. That buried resentment and exhaustion, that's shadow material. And when they have a few drinks at night, suddenly those feelings don't hurt so much. The alcohol becomes their secret way of coping with the shadow they can't face. According to Jung, the more we run from our shadow, the more power it gains over us. The addiction grows stronger as the shadow grows darker. It's a scary cycle, but understanding it is the first step to breaking free. Here's where Jung dropped his biggest bombshell about addiction. Something so powerful, it helped inspire Alcoholics Anonymous, the world's most famous recovery program. In 1961, Jung wrote a famous letter to Bill Wilson, the founder of AA. In this letter, he shared his belief that alcoholism was actually a spiritual thirst. His exact words were spiritus contra spiritum, Latin for spirit against spirits. suggesting that alcohol, spirits, was a misguided search for spiritual fulfillment. What did he mean? Jung believed that humans naturally crave meaning, purpose, and connection to something bigger than themselves. When we don't find healthy ways to fulfill this deep spiritual hunger, we try to fill the emptiness with substitutes, like drugs, alcohol, endless scrolling, gambling, or any other addiction. Think of it like this. Have you ever been really thirsty but there's no water around, so you drink soda instead? It might wet your mouth for a moment, but it actually makes you more dehydrated in the end. Jung saw addiction working the same way. We reach for something that seems to satisfy our thirst momentarily, but it leaves us even emptier than before. This explains why willpower alone often isn't enough to overcome serious addiction. You can't just tell someone dying of thirst to stop being thirsty. Instead, Jung suggested finding the real water, authentic spiritual connection, meaning, and wholeness that the person is actually craving. This was a revolutionary idea that shifted addiction treatment from pure medical model to including spiritual healing as well. And it's why many recovery programs today incorporate some form of spiritual practice, whether religious or not. Now let's talk about Jung's roadmap for healing. He believed that every person has at their core something he called the self. Not just your everyday personality, but your complete, whole potential as a human being. The process of becoming your full self, of bringing together all the pieces of who you are, even the shadow parts, Jung called individuation. Think of it like this. Most of us are living as incomplete puzzles with missing pieces. Individuation is finding and fitting in those missing pieces to see the complete picture of who you truly are. For someone struggling with addiction, recovery isn't just about stopping the addictive behavior. It's about starting the journey toward wholeness. It means facing the shadow aspects that the addiction was trying to cover up. It means reconnecting with parts of yourself that got lost along the way. Here's a simple example. A man drinks heavily every night after work. In therapy, using Jung's approach, he might discover that as a child, he was always told that real men don't cry or show vulnerability. He buried his sensitive side so deeply that he doesn't know how to process difficult emotions without alcohol. Recovery for him isn't just about not drinking. It's about reclaiming his right to feel, to sometimes be vulnerable, to be his whole self. This is why Jung would say that addiction recovery is not just about giving something up. It's about gaining something much more valuable, your authentic self. Remember those archetypes I mentioned earlier? Jung believed these powerful symbolic patterns live in all of us and show up strongly in addiction stories. Let me explain these patterns in simple terms. The trickster. This is the part of an addict that lies to themselves and others. I can quit any time. Just one more won't hurt. I don't have a problem. The trickster makes excuses and creates clever justifications. The victim. This is the part that feels helpless and says, I can't help it. Life is too hard, or it's not my fault. The victim gives away power and responsibility. The hero. This is the part with courage to face hard truths and fight for recovery, even when it seems impossible. The fascinating thing Jung noticed is that these archetypes don't just go away. Instead, in recovery, their energy gets transformed. The trickster's creativity can become honest self-reflection. The victim's sensitivity can become compassion for others. The hero's strength can be used to help others find their way to recovery. Hints. Jungian addiction treatment. You don't try to destroy these archetypes. You work with them, redirect their energy, and integrate them into your healing journey. So how do Jung's ideas actually help people recover? Let's look at some practical applications. First, Jung's influence on Alcoholics Anonymous can't be overstated. The 12-step model includes facing your shadow making a searching and fearless moral inventory, connecting to something greater than yourself, a higher power, and helping others, carrying the message, all deeply Jungian concepts. Modern therapists using Jung's approach might use these techniques. Dream work. Dreams often reveal shadow material and archetypal patterns that conscious minds hide from us. By exploring dreams, people in recovery can access deeper wisdom about their addiction and healing path. Active imagination. This is like a guided daydream where you have a conversation with different parts of yourself, or even with the addiction itself. One recovering addict described imagining his addiction as a wolf that was actually trying to protect him from pain in a misguided way. Understanding this helped him find healthier protection strategies. Symbol work. Jung believed powerful symbols could help us connect with deeper parts of ourselves. A person in recovery might find a personal symbol that represents their strength or journey, like a phoenix rising from ashes or a tree growing new branches. What makes these approaches powerful is that they don't just treat symptoms. They address the root causes and help people find deeper meaning in their struggles and recovery. So what have we learned about the psychology of addiction through Carl Jung's eyes? First, addiction isn't just a physical dependency or bad habit. It's often a sign of a deeper spiritual and psychological hunger that needs attention. Second, recovery isn't just about stopping a behavior. It's about starting a journey toward becoming your whole authentic self, shadow parts included. And finally, the very pain and struggle of addiction can become, as Jung might say, the doorway to discovering who you truly are. This is why many people in recovery eventually say their addiction became their greatest teacher. The next time you encounter someone struggling with addiction or notice an addictive pattern in yourself, remember Jung's compassionate perspective. What appears to be self-destruction might actually be a misguided search for wholeness. If you or someone you care about is struggling with addiction, remember that professional help is available. The journey to recovery might be challenging, but as Jung believed, it can also be the path to becoming more fully human and alive than ever before. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Carl Jung's revolutionary ideas about addiction. If this video helped you see addiction differently, please like and subscribe for more content that brings powerful psychological insights into everyday language. Until next time, remember Jung's powerful message. Sometimes our deepest wounds can become our greatest strengths.